what I'm going to do, what this video is showing, I should say, is just how the mouse is responding to the trap. And as you can see, on the other side is the manufacturer's trap. So this video is also a comparison of my trap versus the manufacturer's one. So as you can see, the mouse is just there busy eating the little bits of bait that are scattered around. And rest assured, there is some bait in the manufacturer's trap as well. And you'll see later, but as you can see, the mouse definitely prefers picking up the bait from this trap. And so it's investigating again. So, this is what mice are like. They seem to think they can, work something out, but they can't. Right, and notice that the mouse should already have been in the trap by now, because what's happened is that the reason why the trap didn't trigger is because the sensor is too low on the ground. And so because of how low on the ground it is, the light, see, now it's going for the manufacturer's trap. So it's just, but what you notice, it's not really as, it's going in there. It went in a decent amount, but it won't, thing is, it won't, you see, it doesn't seem to like going onto the black part. And you see, that's the big difference between that trap and this one, is that this one, because it's on the natural floor, the mouse doesn't seem to have as much trouble going in. Of course, he's doing the usual thing of just sniffing all over the place, but it's not really doing it for any reason, that's going to make any difference. Okay, so it's back again. So again, the trap should already have triggered. But you see, what's really happening is just it's suspicious of the fact that all that lovely food is sitting there. And it seems that this is something I find interesting about mice, is that they do seem to not like when the food is all piled up in one place. I've noticed that there doesn't seem to be any mouse that is not suspicious about that. So it seems like if you want a mouse to not be suspicious about bait, you have to actually spread it out. So that's one thing I've learned. A big pile of food, it's as if it's unnatural, and it's like mice. They instinctively, it's instinctively in them to know that a pile of food isn't how things should be, and so they always treat that with suspicion. And that's what I've noticed, that whenever the food's piled up, the mouse is slow to go towards it. But when you have a little piece of food on the ground, that's a different story. So again, the mouse should have been trapped. But as you see, you'll see later on what happens when when it does eventually get trapped. Should have been trapped again. Right, so here comes the mouse again. As you can see, I've changed the sensor around so that there's more, it's higher now, and so bam, the mouse is trapped immediately. So you can see that just a slight adjustment on the sensor and the mouse, the trap went down. So it shows you, that when it comes to setting up the sensors for the trap, you do have to make sure to adjust it properly. And I did have a way of testing it using a little thing that I poked in, And I don't think I did that this time properly, but I realized that obviously that adjustment was needed. So after that little bit of adjustment, you can see that the mouse, pretty much just got trapped straight away. And notice the way it just walked straight in. And of course, the poorer manufacturer's trap over the other side, it wasn't too interested in going on to the little trap board. But you see how much easier it is for the mouse to casually walk past the infrared sensor, because of course there's nothing there, so the mouse ain't seeing anything, so of course it's going to trigger the sensor no problem. As you can see now that, and that's the other thing you notice, it still doesn't like the pile of food, and it's only the bits of food which have fallen off that it goes for. So this is something for anyone who tries to set up a trap to remember, and that is, don't pile the food up. Drop it a little bit here and there on the ground, but when it's a pile, mice just don't like that. Okay, so this is just a speeded up section of the mouse, just its attempts to escape. This is why I call it Gangster Mouse, because these next clips are going to show you it doing all this gangster stuff. So that was the first one, the way it upset the what's happening here, it got scared by its own move, and mice will do that sometimes as well. Give it a real slapping there, give it a kick back there. Give it a big push there. So get out of the way. Now, keeping yourself underneath it. Just going to say, give it another bit of a push. See this mouse, he's not messing around, he just wants to, he doesn't care about what's in the way. So you imagine when a gangster comes in and starts tearing up the place, that's throwing over the chairs and that, so this mouse is proper into that. Just telling that piece of cardboard just to get out of the way, man. Really messing the place up. So like guys, so the gangster's pushing all the stuff out of the way. Just get in it, So you can see that determination. This is how a proper gangster would do things. To mess that place up. Just telling the stuff to get out of the way, man. Not interesting. You definitely make a good gang member. Really tearing up that floor as well. And for sure this mouse knows how to mess this place up. Because all the mice that I've seen, most of them have been tamed like you expect a mouse to be. This mouse, he's not tamed like a mouse. He's more like a bull in a china shop. I keep saying he, right? But usually the bigger mice are she's anyway. So it shows you that even if it's a she, then it's into the woman's liberation for sure. piece of cardboard. I'm gonna tear up that carpet. Definitely, this is the one that, you know, showing that people saying someone is that mousy. I don't think, you know, yeah, most mice are like, you know, when you say that sort of person isn't that mousy, but this is definitely not a mousy mouse. I mean, you ever seen someone mousy doing this? You wouldn't say they're mousy at all. That's why I say it's a gangster. It knows how to push that place around and show its displeasure at being in the trap. You know, this mouse, if you could smash this trap up, it would definitely do it. He wants to get on with that cardboard as well. You have to admit though, this mouse is doing a good job tearing this place up. It's a shame I didn't put some more things in there so it could really just smash it up. Say for sure about this mouse also, definitely gets an A for effort. I've seen some mice give up too quickly, but this mouse definitely. If someone says, so next time someone points at someone else or talks about someone else or calls them mousy, tell them it depends on the mouse. There are some mouse that are not mousy at all. Or it could be that the person is just wrong about mice. Because yeah, some mice are quiet and will, you know, sit there and do hardly anything, but there are other mice that they definitely make a good gang member because they just know how to smash that place up, as you can see. I almost wish I'd put more furniture in here. And the mouse would really have been working it up. Say is that this mouse has definitely got endurance as well. Be able to do all this. It's got a high work rate, as you can see. really putting the work in. Go for it. He's trying to get out everything he can to get out. Imagine if there's some humans that will be willing to do their 9 to 5 like this. Whoa! Imagine how much advancement we make in the world. It'd be impressive. Yeah. This mouse just doesn't want to mess around. Hey, it's not interesting. He wants that cardboard to get out of the way, man. If you want to have, you're a gang leader, this mouse would definitely be the one of the lead members. The thing is, this mouse was tearing this place up for a while, so I had to cut the parts where it was like, you know, it wasn't really, I just wanted to get all the bits where it was smashing the place. Or at least smashing that cardboard. Happy at all, man. The other thing he knows, he's not hungry anymore. How much shredding on that carpet is done, man. so it's time. So finally the reign of Gangster Mouse is over. Now the time has ended for it to be tearing up the place. So now I've just got to get everything sorted out. Get the trap ready. Now I've just got to get the piece of perspex underneath the trap. This is kind of the difficult part, where this is where the trap needs a bit of a more design into it, so that this part is easier. But at the moment, it still isn't done that well. You definitely could do with improvements in that part. Like I say, this trap is a prototype. See, as it goes under, of course the mouse tries to get away from you. See, it doesn't like going onto another surface, like I said, but see, yeah. And of course, if you look closely, you notice that there's a bit of a gap at the back, so the mouse could have escaped. But because it is in such a panic, he just didn't even notice that. And even I didn't notice it at first. So the mouse could actually have escaped, because you notice there's a little bit of a gap there. But he could have tried to squeeze its way through. And I think it took me a little bit of time to notice that's the case. Yeah, then I just have to close it. Yeah, that's it. So that's a part of the design in the trap that needs a bit of a fixing, so that it's easier for the plastic to be, or the perspex to be pushed underneath it. As you can see now, the mouse is safely inside the trap with the perspex bottom, and so now it's ready for transport. You see that those magnets are pretty strong as well, so there isn't any chance of them dropping off. It takes quite a bit of a tug to pull them off, and the mouse is nowhere near strong enough to be able to do that. And it knows that its gangster days are over now, and it's a case of it just waiting for the journey out to the woods, just like the other mice. And of course the trap is solid, so the mouse isn't going to waste its time trying to get out of it. Because that solid perspex, its little claws, is not going to make any progress against it whatsoever. Yes, now this is just the I know if you look at it, yes, so that's the electronics inside on top of the trap. And the little button is there for doing the configuration changes, and well, not configuration changes, but for the test. When I want to do any tests, then I push the button. But the button's also used to enter configuration mode as well. And you might wonder, why is it moving so slow? And that's actually because I'm doing it at I filmed it at 120 frames a second, and so that's why everything seems to be moving so slowly. So if you see the mouse do something quick, that means it's moving really quick. So that was a jump. That was supposed to be a jump. See, so there it is on top of the trap, and there's a £2 coin on top of there for some reason. One of them just dropped off. like is I notice that once the mouse is trapped, it's like the ears go back. I've noticed that. So it's like there's a way you can tell when the mouse is defeated, is that its ears aren't forward anymore, its ears are just stuck back. Yeah, so this part's going to be a bit slow. Because it's 120 frames a second, and you notice the weird way that its whiskers are moving as well. It's like it's trying to stop the inevitable, but so you see how much it's trying to stay on the carpet. But when it knows that that's not, it has to give up and actually go on to the other surface. And that is the main reason why the trap is successful, is because of the fact that the mouse doesn't have to change surface, like I said before. And there you can see that it's more obvious the gap, which is at the back. And you see, you just notice that it can grab onto that part where the escape hatch is, but of course it doesn't have any strength to push against those magnets. So it's not going to be able to push out. And basically that's the end of that. Okay. So now it's time to take it out. And this is where, again, showcasing how solid the bottom is. Because notice that there's no, and this is the other thing I made sure, is that when it comes to the perspex, I can get, there was 1mm perspex, but what I realized is that 1mm is a bit thin, so it would flex more. And so that's why I went for 2mm, because that seemed to be the best compromise between being able to cut it and sort of break it, as you can see. Because I had to cut the edges and for it to be thick enough so that it doesn't flex. Because if I've got something like 0.5mm, then that would be too thin, and you get like gaps would be forming in the plastic. But because this 2mm is solid, it still isn't too hard to like cut and then snap. But when it comes to the actual structure of the trap, it's solid, and as you can see, the mouse is confirming that the structure of the trap is solid because it's not even trying to escape. You see, if there was like a gap somewhere where the mouse felt it had a chance, then it would actually be like other mice have done. It would keep going and trying to push at that gap. But what I've noticed with this trap, the mice, whenever I'm carrying them, they don't bother. They just like sit there. It's like they understand that the trap is solid, and that, you know, there's no point wasting any energy trying to escape. And now you see how friendly it is with that piece of cardboard that it was dashing out of the way before. Because mice like to hide under stuff when they're, you know, when the game's up. And also, yeah, like I said as well, so when I'm carrying it, as even though I'm holding on the bottom, you notice the bottom's not flexing at all. See, so I can just hold it at the side, and because also the trap isn't that heavy, it won't bend at all, so that the magnets separate. And you know, and you have to admit that when it comes to pulling, so with the magnets you have to actually slide them or sideways, because trying to pull them directly, it's actually quite hard. I'm not sure what this. It seems to think it can, find something, but just goes to show that at least it's trying. And also you notice that it still looks like everything is slow motion because, again, I've done it. This is the 120 frame a second version. Because things would definitely be moving around a lot more if it was at the proper normal frame rate. Okay, so we're back to the normal rate again. So we're just upping the power on the torch. So now I'm just going into the entrance to the woods. Of course the trap is still solid, but that's what you'd expect. And of course it's not manufactured by some sweatshop Chinese or Filipinos, but it's actually made in England with perspex and clear Gorilla tape. And for some reason those birds, I think they should be sleeping now, but I don't know. Okay, so here we are at the destination. Just got to find somewhere to put it. Still trying to get out. Okay, so now back to the 120 frames a second mode. So that's why the audio is gone. So now, just going to show, well, be able to see. You've seen in the other ones how it's easier now to get the mouse out of this trap compared to the other ones. So all I have to do is just pull back the trapdoor and that's it. A lot easier than having to go to all the trouble of, you know, sliding the bottom out and whatnot. But of course, as is typical with mice, is that even though you open some way for them to get out, they're not going to notice it because they're too busy being concerned about, you know, the position that they're in. And that's the other thing that happens with mice, is once they've been in a trap for a certain amount of time, they sort of give up. So what I've noticed is that you have to encourage them to get out of the trap, which is, I suppose, what, you know, that's how it just seems to be. So once they get a bit depressed, that's it. They'll just stay in the trap, and you have to like convince them. So I actually thought that the mouse would somehow feel the breeze or something, see the escape, and just immediately go for it. But that's one thing I've noticed, that that's not the case. Is that once you open a way for the mouse to get out, it doesn't notice it very well, and you have to actually convince the mouse to get out of the trap. Especially if it's a trap where you only have a single exit. And so I think that's why I was taking so long, because I'm wondering what's this? You know, why is this mouse? Why isn't it immediately jumping out? So that's when I worked out that when I have to convince it. It's still not interesting. And it's just like when you're trying to run a business, is that too many people who run businesses expect the workers to just know that they're supposed to work hard at the business, not realizing that you really do have to tell them what to do, especially at the beginning. And it's only once they get used to it and know what their function is, and have been told what it is, then that's when they actually become like efficient workers. And it's a similar thing with the mouse, is that don't expect it to immediately jump straight out of the trap, because it's a mistake to think that, you know, the mouse, you think the mouse is so eager to get out of the trap that the first chance it would jump out. But no, it doesn't. Obviously it doesn't work like that, because the mouse isn't expecting to be in the trap in the first place. So there isn't really a mechanism or anything in the mouse that makes it like want to immediately jump out of a trap, because it doesn't know what the trap is in the first place, and that it's supposed to escape, etc. So, you know, obviously it's in a situation that's not normal for it. So now I'm just shaking it a bit to try and convince the mouse. It still, you know, doesn't seem to know what freedom is, but now it's finally got down there. It still hasn't noticed it. So it still doesn't understand. It's like a mouse doesn't understand what being trapped means, and it doesn't understand escaping the trap means either. All it knows is just its instincts, which is stay on the ground, find food, and avoid predators. So even having an escape hatch like this is too complicated for a mouse. It just isn't, you know, that's not how the mice are made up. They're very simple. Yeah, a bit like, you know, some people who do like 9-to-5 jobs. Try and get them to do something different from what they're normally used to, and some of them can like go to pieces. So you have to try and make sure that they're only doing something that they can handle, so that they don't panic. But with this mouse, because escaping from this trap is something which it doesn't understand, it's just going to sit there and I'm gonna have to be the one who's like have to do all the work to get it out the trap. Okay, so now I've got to put the work in to finally convince them. Finally, it sees it. You see how much effort it took to convince the mouse to get out, to escape. It's amazing, isn't it? So it checks out the distance and then goes for it. That was a pretty good landing as well. So if it goes into the wild. Right, so that's it gone, and so now it's time to just bag this up, and then we're on the way back. Yeah, see, that's how I just split it. So they have the, in case it wants to come back and get some food. The bottom just jumps on, so that's much more convenient than the other trap. So now it's time to head back through the mud. And the thing is, you might think that this looks pretty dim, but one thing about this particular phone I was using, its sensor is not very sensitive, because believe me, that torch, it's a lot brighter than what you think it looks there when you look at it with your normal eyes. But this camera, you know, this phone, let's make sure to clean up the litter. And the woman in the underground says, please take your litter with you. Make sure. And that's it. So we're out there. It's time to head back through the mud.